Folks, I hope things are well with you. So, in this video, I want to talk about a trend that I see play out with people I know and people within the Irish media. And it is a trend that I'm quite concerned about, and I don't think it's a good thing for us. And for lack of a better phrase, I'm kind of not good at naming these things, but I'm going to call it the West Britain derangement syndrome. And what the West Britain derangement syndrome is, it's in relation to how people are reacting to the coronavirus in Ireland. So one of the things I've been seeing is, or one of the things I really want to drive home, and I'd be saying this if there's whether it's left-wing government, whether it's a right-wing government, whether it's a nationalist government, whether it's a socialist government, or whatever you want to call it. One of the things I really want to drive home, I really want to emphasise, is the amount of mistakes that the Irish government have made in relation to this whole virus phenomenon. And the reason I want to do that is because of the fact that, if you start pointing out these mistakes and commenting on it as well, it's the same as kind of working a normal job. If you make mistakes, you can fix it and get better, or anything in your life. So this is not necessarily a political thing. But one thing I've noticed is, if I started calling out these mistakes, a common reaction is, "Oh yeah, but Britain really fucked up." And this is a concern to me, because I think what's going on in Britain and what some of the effect has been that's been happening is making people less and less open to the plethora of mistakes. So let me just get into what West Britain derangement syndrome is. West Britain derangement syndrome is basically the idea that if Britain do something different, which is not acceptable or out of the ordinary in terms of Irish beliefs, whether it is good or whether it is bad, the Irish public, and in particular West Brits or the Irish media, will have automatically the opposite effect. So let me just expand on that. So first of all, where does this come from? So I've got kind of two videos kind of backing this up. So the first one is, I'm going to link this down below, is the Broken Hair video. And in that video I talk about the fact that the Irish, because of a weakened identity because of colonisation, love being told what to do, like big systems telling them what to do, and always define themselves in relation to this big other. And this big other would be not British or against Britain, and pro the European Union, pro liberalism, progressivism, all that kind of stuff, right? And when you define yourself as against Britain, and when you define yourself as being pro-European Union, or that kind of discourse, or that your elites tend to, or your media class tends to define everything in complete opposite to what Britain do. So, for example, like when you had the Brexit thing breaking out, a lot of the common responses you had this, among these kind of fit to tool, artificially high-level status journalist people, their original kind of response, or their big response to that is, oh, look, the Brits are actually gay, and, look at those little Englanders, and that response was always in relation to, or the opposite of something Britain would do that would make them stand out. So, if being part of the European Union and being told what to do by Europe is an acceptable thing, and then Britain leave the European Union, then the automatic response is to be like, oh, kind of irony joking, oh, let's just laugh at, let's just point the finger at Britain. And in relation to this coronavirus, you had the whole thing with Boris Johnson and the whole herd immunity thing, and the response that, oh, look at those kind of silly little Englanders or British establishment fucking up, whereas we did what everyone else did, and we're so very sensible about this. And I'm not talking about the fact that like Britain clearly fucked up. That there are stories of like no temperature scans and whatever going on at Heathrow Airport, and that whole thing, and I trust the NHS numbers in relation to coronavirus even less than I do the Irish numbers. So, I'm not saying they haven't fucked up, like they have, but the problem is that because of this sort of anchored bias effect, we fucked up. Like, we fucked up hugely. Like, we're in the top 10 countries in the world in terms of deaths per capita, right? And I think Britain are like 6 or 7. So we're doing terribly. We haven't handled this well at all. But a common kind of psychological tool, or tool is the wrong word, but Tool, for example, did this ridiculous and often stupid article, maybe I'm being a bit too blunt there, about this whole kind of, the coronavirus gets rid of the myth of British exceptionalism. The problem is with a lot of these academic people as well, they tend to think of like this, just this whole group of people in Britain are just like, they think about things like, oh, we still have the empire and all this kind of stuff, where in fact, like, your so-called little Islander people that they kind of, these comments are just, average, normal people who don't think like that. And it's remarkable. It really is. But it's a common reaction that seems to happen again and again and again. And I just want to emphasize that point again, in that, like, if Britain do something outside of the norm, whether it's treat the coronavirus outside of the norm or leaving the European Union outside of the norm, the response in a lot of Irish people, because of the love being told what to do thing, is to automatically have a response, whether it's good or whether it's bad, to slam it. And that is a problem for us now, because, like I said before, when this is all over, I would like to see people address the mistakes that we've made. And we've made tons of mistakes. We didn't close the airports. We didn't close off nursing homes. The HSE have actively lied in terms of like saying, oh, well, masks don't do anything, but we need masks to protect doctors. Or the thing about the letter being fake, and then it was found out to be not fake, or the fact that, like, cases have been consistently flat, suggesting a maximum level of testing that has been achieved. And then they've been trying to obfuscate the figures by saying, oh, with this whole kind of German thing. So, like, in the past few days, we've seen stuff like, well, we had 440 cases reported today. And then they'll separate out, like, the German figures that were in a backlog from about 2 weeks ago. Like, we've made a huge amount of mistakes. But one of the reasons I think you're seeing this whole thing, blinder thing, is because people and the Irish media, Irish establishment as a whole, are anchoring that in relation to Britain. So, in other words, well, look at them, rather than objectively looking at our own mistakes. And the same thing with Trump too, this whole kind of Trump derangement. Again, America have made a huge amount of mistakes in relation to this. But we should be looking at our own mistakes rather than kind of brush them off as, oh, he's playing blinder because of this, like I said before, for lack of a better phrase, West Brit derangement syndrome. And this is very important because this effect you're seeing through all these kind of media blue tick people repeated over again and again and again. And when this virus thing comes down, you're going to see that effect played out. You're going to see media articles like, well, look how great we are because Britain hugely fucked up and, we only fucked up. Especially if Britain, if this ends up being, and I fear it will be, bad for Britain. But even even then, even just to go on to the side thing, it's actually not fair to compare us to Britain. I mean, like, one of the kind of predictions that I made a few weeks ago was that either New York or London, because of their density and because of their size, was going to end up as a kind of an epicenter or strong point for this coronavirus. And it looks like, well, I mean, the New York one seems to have come true. But, you know, the other thing too, even stuff like for example, from America, we know from the figures that, like, you know, kind of black people or people with more genetic health issues are more vulnerable to this virus. So, because the UK has a greater number of those people, we would probably actually expect more deaths and more people getting bad symptoms in Ireland, for example. Like, what if you want to do an accurate comparison? We should be looking at New Zealand. We should be looking at the Scandinavian countries. We should be looking at Singapore in terms of population, in terms of medical facilities kind of offered, or potential to be offered. We should be comparing ourselves to those countries, and we are performing very, very poorly in relation to these countries. But anyway, I'm going on a bit of a rant here. My point being is that this is a psychological weakness of a lot of kind of media establishment and a lot of Irish people in general. And it's going to be something that I can see played out in the future in relation to other things. I mean, like, for example, if Britain were to say impose a very, very strict immigration policy, right, then one of the things that we would kind of counteract is, well, because they've done something which is outside the acceptable limits of what we see as acceptable, we would have a kind of a more visual reaction to, oh, because they did it, it isn't a good thing to do, and look at us, we're so good because we're not doing what they're doing. And this is kind of a worrying thing. This is something to watch out for. And this is something I think that we need to work on, because it is something that can be used against us. And you can see that pattern play out again and again and again. It's played out with Brexit, it's played out with this, and it'll probably play out with other things in the future. So, anyway, that's it for me. I hope things are well with you, and I hope you keep an eye out for this kind of respiratory syndrome, and call it out if you see it. So, with that in mind, I will see you in the next video. Bye. Bye.
Next time you do this, you could be doing this. How? By using Acosia, the search engine.
Yeah, there's a pattern in all this. As I say in that chapter, you can see the